Rosenberg, Media Alliance. Would you like?
Oh,
Would it be helpful to say something?
oh, sure, if you'd like to, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All
we'll,
right. Sorry that we didn't
no, that's
get
okay.
that.
Thank you.
That's good.
I also have everybody. I don't know if you want to take up the consent calendar real quickly before he starts, in case we lose anybody. And then we have to come
This is
back.
going to go
It's up to you.
quick.
Okay.
We go fast. Senator Healy, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Good afternoon. SB 34 establishes reasonable privacy and transparency requirements for the use of automatic license plate readers. The technology is used primarily by law enforcement agencies, but it's also used by various private companies such as parking and repossession businesses. License plate readers use high-speed cameras to automatically scan any license plate within range and can scan up to 2,000 plates a minute. The technology uses software that cross-references license plates with various databases, such as those containing outstanding warrants. If a match is found, an officer is alerted. The technology has become a useful component of modern policing, but the increased use of this technology has raised concerns over civil liberties and privacy. While at least 7 other states have passed laws governing the use of license plate readers, current California law has not kept up with the rapid adoption of the technology. Current law addresses license plate reader use by the CHP and transportation agencies, but it ignores local law enforcement and private uses. In absence of statutory protections, organizations using the technology have also been slow to create their own internal policies. For example, only 48% of police agencies across the country have developed license plate reader policies. Here in California, very few local agencies provide an opportunity for public input when approving the use of license plate readers, and very few have policies. Out of 57 local agencies known to use license plate readers, only 8 provided an opportunity for public input, and only 16 have a publicly available policy. The public should be able to weigh in on the use of this powerful technology in their community, and at the very minimum, agencies should be required to have a policy about how and when license plate readers will be used. SB 34 updates California law to do just this. First, the bill requires a public agency considering the use of license plate readers to provide an opportunity for public comment at a regularly scheduled public meeting of its governing body. Second, the policy and private entities that use license plate readers must adopt a policy and usage policy and post it conspicuously on their website. The policy must contain critical issues laid out in the bill, such as how the license plate readers will be used and how long the data will be kept. Third, the bill requires operators to keep a record of when license plate reader data is accessed, including the purpose of accessing the data. Lastly, organizations that store license plate data must protect data with reasonable security safeguards in order to both ensure the data's integrity and confidentiality and protect the data from unauthorized access and disclosure. The committee analysis notes that transportation agencies such as toll operators are exempt from the bill. They are exempted because their use of license plate readers is already covered by current law established by SB 1268 from 2010 and AB 179 from 2013. SB 34 focuses on the use of license plate readers by entities that are not regulated by current law. The bill takes reasonable steps to make sure Californians' civil liberties and privacy are respected and protected while still balancing law enforcement's ability to use license plate readers to catch criminals. SB 34 is supported by the California Civil Liberties Council, Conference of California Bar Associations, and Small Business California, and has no opposition today.
Okay.
I'll close there, Mr. Chair. And
Okay, can we have the speakers in favor of this bill, please?
Yes, we do. Good afternoon, Senators. I'm Tracy Rosenberg from the Executive Director of Media Alliance, which is a Bay Area Democratic communications advocate based in Oakland, California. I'm coming here to speak in support of the bill. Very specifically, automated license plate readers are blanket collection devices. They sweep up a significant amount of information about anyone who comes into or out of a vicinity. And as we know, Automated license plate readers in aggregate can provide information about where we go, who we associate with, and what we do. This kind of blanket collection impacts individuals who are suspected of crimes, and it impacts equally individuals who are no way suspected of any crimes. When that happens, it's important that we look at privacy protections and transparency. What SB 34 does is two pretty important things. The first is that it applies the kinds of data privacy and protection laws that we apply to other kinds of large blanket databases in the state of California that provide significant information about individuals. The second thing that it does is that it provides a public input process not only so that communities can talk about the uses of this database, the duration of the collection, the authorized uses, and what happens in the event of a security breach. It also provides clear information to the public about what is happening to this information. And as with any public service that we use, the community is entitled to know what's being collected, why it's being held, and how it's being used. So I really hope that you will support this legislation. It's conservative, it's practical, and it really concerns essentially the public rights to know and to be kept safe from what are essentially potential abuses or overreach with their private information. Thank you.
Thank you. Other witnesses, please, on this bill, favor of the bill.
I'm Susan Harmon. I'm here representing the Bay Area Civil Liberties Coalition, San Leandro Safe, Civilize the Cops, and Oakland Privacy Working Group. We've all been working on surveillance issues in general, and I would urge everyone on this committee to watch the John Oliver show from last Sunday night, where he dealt in a humorous fashion with a very serious issue, which is surveillance. It's online. Please watch it. What turns out from the enormous growth of surveillance, spying on individuals, is that it's not being used to solve crimes or to protect us from terrorism. In fact, it's become a form of terrorism in itself. It's a form of state terrorism. And this bill needs to be passed to protect us all from being, from having our privacy invaded. So we all the all the organizations I'm representing today are strongly in favor of this bill. Thank you.
Other witnesses in support, please. Do we have, if I don't see any, so witnesses in opposition to this bill, please come forward if there are any. Seeing none, are there questions of the committee of the Senator? Senator Cannella, please.
Senator Hill, thank you again for bringing this to our attention. I think we had some fun at the end of session last year where we weren't able to address it, but I'm actually supportive of everything in the bill. I think, I'm a big fan of privacy. I don't think everybody should know what we're doing all the time, and so I like the bill. The only part that I'm struggling with are the damages. And so when you talk about the damages, I think it's, let's see here, minimum of $2,500, but it's really a private right of action, so it can be much more than that. However, we do have a current statute, 1798.84, which is the personal information, protections about California residents. And that it says, in addition, for a willful, intentional, or reckless violation of this section, a customer may recover a civil penalty not to exceed $3,000 per violation. Otherwise, the customer may recover a civil penalty of up to $500 per violation. So the minimum fine is 5 times higher than what we currently have for personal protection, for privacy, and it really could be much more than that. So I could be supportive of this bill if you would match what we currently have in law. I think that sets a pretty stiff penalty, and it would hopefully deter behavior, but with an open-ended amount as it's currently listed in the bill, I won't be able to support it, so if you'd consider that.
Yeah, and thank you. this bill, the private right of action in the bill is based on existing law, as you know, and the levels are not higher than what's currently established in the Driver's Protection Privacy Act of 1994, the federal law that provides the same limitations and fine and penalty schedule for DMV information. So this just corresponds exactly to what is now in case if there's a violation or a disclosure or release of DMV information. So we've not changed anything nor made this any higher than that. So it's consistent with what we had last year and the provisions that were in the bill. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, other questions? Senator Hill, you have, Senator Gaines.
Senator Cannella hit it on the nail on the head in terms of my concern too, in terms of the creation of a private cause of action. Now, we've had real problems with the ADA litigation throughout the state, at least in my district. I've had hundreds of lawsuits. Some of my small businesses have gone out of business because they couldn't come up with the cash to settle or to fight it in court. And my concern is that we're creating another wave of litigation, and so I'm very worried about that. But I'm sympathetic to what you're trying to do, because I think we do need to protect our privacy, and when there are breaches, there should be, in my view, more action than saying that, you know, I'm going to get my credit checked every quarter or whatever. That, in my view, is not enough. But I worry about flooding the courts with litigation, too.
Well, as you know, Senator Gaines, this bill applies to those few private entities that do collect license plate data, and there are just a few. And then it applies to law enforcement, local municipalities, and government that does it. And there has to be for the $2,500 that is the and then punitive damages upon proof of willful or reckless disregard of the law. And so that would have to apply to a governmental entity in that violation. An ADA violation, as you know, and I agree with you in that sense, is related to private businesses, and there's a lot greater exposure there. Here, the exposure is limited to those entities that are involved in license plate reading, which is very limited.
All right. Thank you.
Other questions? Senator Mendoza? There's a motion on the bill. Senator Hill, you have any closing comments?
No, I just respectfully ask for an aye vote, members. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. If we could call the roll.
To pass and re-refer to the Committee on Judiciary. Senators Bell?
Aye.
Bell, I. Cannella? Allen? Allen, I. Bates? Bates, no. Gaines? Gaines, no. Galgiani? Leyva? Leyva, I. McGuire? Mendoza? Mendoza, I. Roth? Roth, I. Wachowski? So you got 5 to 2.
Bill's on call, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, members. Appreciate the discussion.
Senator, you want to take up item 5 next. Item 5 is SB 438, motor vehicles reportable property damage. Senator, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This actually came to my attention from a constituent who mentioned the issue and brought it to mind, and I think probably close to your neighborhood as well, Mr. Chair. SB 438 simply raises the reportable property damage threshold for traffic accidents from $750 to $1,000. The property damage threshold that characterizes an accident as reportable has not been updated since 2002. The DMV collects more than 54,000 reports a month from drivers, and this increase in the threshold will certainly decrease the burden on DMV and California drivers. There's been no opposition to this bill. I ask for your aye vote, members.
Questions? Okay, thank you. That motion. There's witnesses in favor, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Michael Gunning, Personal Insurance Federation, here in support. Unfortunately, we didn't get our support letter in on time, but we do support the change and have been working with the Department of Motor Vehicles on this. We actually have another code and insurance law, and this just balanced it out, and so we think it's a good measure. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there other supporters? Are there opponents to this bill? Please come forward if you are opposed. Seeing none, Senator, do you have closing?
Respectfully ask for an aye vote, members. Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion. Call the roll, please.
The motion is due pass and re-refer to the Committee on Judiciary. Senators Bell?
Aye.
Bell, I. Cannella?
Aye.
Cannella, I. Allen? Allen, I. Bates? Bates, I. Gaines? Gaines, I. Galgiani? Leyva? Leyva, I. McGuire? Mendoza? Mendoza, I. Roth? Roth, I. Wachowski.
We have 8, we'll call based on call.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much, members.
Senator Wesso is on his way, so what we can do in the meantime is we can have a motion to approve the consent calendar. It's a motion to approve the consent calendar. We call the roll, please, on the consent calendar.
On the consent calendar, Senators Bell.
Aye.
Bell, I. Cannella.
Aye.
Cannella, I. Allen. Allen, I. Bates. Bates, I. Gaines. Gaines, I. Galgiani. Leyva. Leyva, I. McGuire. Mendoza. Mendoza, I. Roth. Roth, I. Wachowski.
We'll put that on call also. And we'll wait for Senator Wesso. Speed 249.
As soon as possible. And he's got, so there's another, Colorado has a special committee of the Secretary of State, AG, and the LAO, in whatever the LAO is in Colorado, and they work on it together. So I'm actually there on Denver.
Senator Wesso, you have the floor. Welcome. And Senator, Senator, you have the floor, and you're presenting SB 249. This is item 4 on our committee agenda. Senator, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Senators. We're bringing back our enhanced driver's license bill, very popular with legislators, always received strong support. We've always had a little detail working out the implementation of this bill with DMV. We're continuing to do that. It looks like this is going to be the year to approve this bill. This bill would authorize the Department of Motor Vehicles to issue enhanced driver's license, which individuals could use at border crossings as proof of both identity and citizenship. The EDL will be enhanced in process, technology, and security to denote identity and citizenship. This bill was made possible by a Homeland Security bill. Other states in the country have invoked on that federal policy that have allowed them in their states to create an enhanced driver's license. So states like Maine, New York, Washington, Michigan have all enhanced, have an enhanced driver's license in their states. None of them probably required as much as California because of our very, very long border wait times. This is a bill that would help people or help the Homeland Security Department, Customs and Immigration in the border with Mexico. It would help them to reduce border wait times. We had a representative from the federal department attend one of our hearings at the time and estimated that it would reduce border wait times by 30%. This would mean an enormous beneficial impact to California's economy. In one instance, they estimated that reducing border wait times by an hour would increase California's economy by $7 billion annually. There isn't really much that we can do in the state of California to help in economic development that would equal the benefits of reducing border wait times in areas where we have, for instance, San Isidro, Tijuana border crossing, the busiest border crossing currently in the world. They have incorporated technology into the border crossings that would make it very easy to use a California driver's license with an RFID chip integrated in it would help reduce border wait times already without that state having to invest a penny and working with the federal government to install the technology. It's already there. The lines already exist that would read these technology. I want to reach into my pocket here and pull out a similar card. This one is a Sentry card, a global entry that has an RFID chip. It has a copper sheath that it is provided for to enclose the card in. The way it works is once it's in the sheath, there is no transmission or the chip cannot be read by a frequency. Once it's in here, it's protected. Once you remove it, the technology emits a signal that bounces back and captures a number. That number only means something to the Department of Homeland Security. They have a data bank that has never been breached, that has numbers that are, any kind of identification that they issue. It could be a passport that is authorized by the federal government. That number means something only to the federal government. Those archives have never been breached. They're very well protected. And so there really is no concern that if I'm walking around with this around the neighborhood and somebody happens to have, emits a signal to pick up and steal my identity, what they'll get is a number. And there is no concern at all that this information will have any information about my private, life. It would not have information about my name or my place of residence or my social security number. All that is protected by the federal government, and they have codes, again, that have never been broken. They have never been breached. And the possibility is somebody would invest millions and millions of dollars to access that information for the purposes of getting somebody's technology is probably unlikely, slim to none. They'd probably pursue other ways to steal information. This is not one. I'm not at all concerned. I think the proponents of this measure are not at all concerned. At the federal level, the issuance of passports, nobody's concerned with that. This is similar technology. We've been working with the DMV to identify what would be the implementation process. They've been meeting with representatives of other states and other parts of the country that have already done this. That serves as a model. But I'm telling you, as far as California is concerned, in my district has 7 border crossings, and this would be of immense benefit to the people doing business along the border economy. Currently, if you added up the economies of all the border states of United States and Mexico, which, on the U.S. side is Texas and New Mexico and Arizona and California, and on the Mexican side you have Baja California, Sonora, and Chihuahua. If you added up the economies of those states along the border area, you would have the 3rd largest economy in the world. If we consider that and see how, by working together, we can create a synergy in those areas that will create a very business-friendly environment that will be a global leader in all areas of transportation, of manufacturing, tourism. You'd think that our border leaders would take more advantage of that and find ways to build bridges across our states and create better economies and to the benefit of all our regions. That's something that this bill would do. This bill would set a model in Southwest United States on how to better integrate those economies and create one mega economy in North America that would serve as a model for the rest of the world. So this bill is very important to California. It's very important to the economy. It's very important to people's quality of lives. Sometimes people spend as much as 3 hours idling in line, wasting fuel, wasting precious hours, and getting nothing more than frustrated, when in fact we have better ways to get people across the border safely, making sure that they go through the inspection process, making sure that the government has the opportunity to screen everybody passing the border. But that we do it more efficiently, that we use the technology available to us today to move people efficiently through our binational region. So I hope I can count on your support with this, and we don't have anyone else presenting on this, but this is a bill that enjoys broad support in the past. It's joined broad support of people in the business community and in transportation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. Moira Topner on behalf of City of San Diego, Mayor Kevin Faulkner, and the entire City Council. We are in strong support of the measure. As the author already noted, we do see wait times at the San Diego crossings of more than 3 hours at a time during peak commute times, and that has a dramatic effect on tourism in San Diego, as well as goods movement, which isn't just a San Diego issue. That affects the entire state. So we strongly support the measure and ask for your vote.
Mr. Chair, members, Jeremy Murs on behalf of the California Chamber of Commerce. We thank the author for bringing this bill forward again. We've heard from now a number of people the economic benefits of reducing congestion at the border, not only in the San Diego or Southern California region, but throughout the state. The number's in the billions of dollars. So for those reasons, we support the bill and urge a yes vote. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Kirk Blackburn of Ellison Wilson Advocacy on behalf of the San Diego Association of Governments, SANDAG. Not yet taken a formal position on the bill, but we'll do so shortly and expect to be in support. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members. Kevin Baker for the American Civil Liberties Union of California. As Mr. Wisso indicated, what is enhanced about the enhanced driver's license is a little radio chip that broadcasts the unique identifier up to 30 feet away. I would ask you just to consider when somebody tells you that a source of information cannot be breached, you might take that with a grain of salt. This is a unique identifier, and these radio frequency chips can be intercepted. Unlike the RFID chip in the passport, there are protections in the passport that don't exist in this particular document. In particular, with the passports, there's a random number that's generated each time the passport is used. With the enhanced driver's license, there is only one unique identifier that is consistently broadcast. And so it is, if it can be intercepted, it can be counterfeited, replicated, and used as an identity document. Also, another distinction is the data embedded in the RFID chip in a passport is encrypted. The enhanced driver's license data is not encrypted. So there are important differences with these enhanced driver's licenses, and we think that they present real privacy threats that we would ask you to consider.
Samantha Corbin on behalf of Privacy Rights Clearinghouse, also in opposition to this bill. I won't belabor the points that my colleague with ACLU made. I do know the author has worked to address some of the privacy concerns from previous iterations of this bill, and we really do appreciate that. I think the largest concern here really just does rely on, as my colleague mentioned, the RFID technology itself. The federal government actually requires the use of a fairly insecure RFID technology and does not allow for additional layers that would actually protect and provide the type of security necessary, again, as my colleague mentioned, much like in a passport. The members mentioned that this number only means something to the government. However, much like your Social Security number, it really is an individual personal identifier, and it could be duplicated, counterfeited onto another card, and used by someone else for purposes of fraud. So for all those reasons, we oppose this bill. Thank you.
Well, I just want to clarify. I mean, you're required to have a Social Security card, but my read of this is you're not required to apply for this, are you? This is a voluntary program. So if somebody's concerned about the whatever you said it was, you don't have to get it, right?
Sure. I think the problem really lies in the accessibility of that unique identifier. So currently, when you have your driver's license, if you go to the grocery store or you cross the border, it's physically scanned with your magnetic stripe on the back. And you can't access that information unless you actually physically, manually take the card and scan it, at which point, directly in front of you at that moment, short of someone stealing your identification, you are actually witnessing them scanning and retrieving that information. The problem with this particular type of technology is that it can be read from afar without your knowledge. So these personal identifiers could actually be amassed, stored, and then used to perpetrate counterfeit through the creation of new cards, which could then also be scanned.
But again, it's a voluntary program.
It is,
So
but
if someone is concerned about the program, they do not need to apply, right? And your point is we should have a better technology, which we may get, in which case the people that are concerned can then apply for the new card with the new technology, right?
Certainly, I don't disagree with that whatsoever, but our concerns right now lie with the existing technology. And even if an individual consents and understands the various implications, if you look at it from a larger public safety issue, things like terrorism, for example, and people being able to, on a wide scale, access these unique identifiers and create essentially a means of coming back and forth across the border, it's very concerning.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, just a quick question, Senator Wayso. So you have a card and it emits something so you're able to get through faster. Is there like a visual check so that the person that's using the card is actually the person that should be using the card? I mean, could somebody borrow it and go through?
So yes, the card itself is run through a scanner that's located prior to the Sentry checkpoint. So once they come to the custom agent's checkpoint, he verifies that the card fits the identity of the person. Just simply ask for your support for this bill today.
The motion is due pass and re-refer to the Committee on Judiciary. Senators Bell.
Aye.
Bell, I. Cannella.
Aye.
Cannella, I. Allen. Allen, I. Bates. Bates, I. Gaines. Gaines, I. Galgiani. Galgiani, I. Leyva. Leyva, I. McGuire. McGuire, I. Mendoza. Mendoza, I. Roth. Roth, I. Wykowski. Wykowski, I. That bill is out, 11-0.
11-0, Senator, it's bill's out.
Thank you. Thank you, senators. Thank you.
Lifting the calls, file item 2, Senate Bill 34 by Senator Hill. The motion is due pass and re-refer to the Committee on Judiciary. The current vote is 5-2. Chair voting aye. Vice Chair hasn't voted. Senators Cannella.
We're on Senator Hill's bill, item 2.
Galgiani. Galgiani, aye. McGuire. McGuire, aye. Wykowski. Wykowski, aye. So that's 8-2.
8-2, that bill is
out.
out. Okay, the next item would be...
File item 5, Senate Bill 438 by Senator Hill. The motion is due pass and re-refer to the Committee on Judiciary. The current vote is 8-0. Chair and Vice Chair voting aye. Senators Galgiani. Galgiani, aye. McGuire. McGuire, aye. Wykowski. Wykowski, aye. Okay, that's out, 11-0.
11-0, that bill is out.
And on the consent calendar, the current vote is 8-0. Senators Galgiani. Galgiani, aye. McGuire. McGuire, aye. Wykowski. Wykowski, aye. It's out, 11-0.
11-0, that bill is out.
We're done.